If you're picking up 3 Hopes next week, you may want to keep your wallet on hand because the Summer Vacation banner is here to mug everyone of their orbs. This banner is one of the most insane seasonal banners ever because our lineup this time includes summer alts for Claude, Micaiah, Dimitri, and Harmonic Edelgard with Altina. Intended Systems finally brought out the House Leader season alts, so you know they mean business. We'll be talking about everyone's stats, skills, and talking about general playstyles and build ideas. For the 4-star focus unit, this time it's going to be Claude. You can get him at 4-star and 5-star rarity. Do not despair, Claude fans, because this won't be like Choose Your Legends. Claude may be the 4-star focus, but he is getting a 5-star treatment across the board, and frankly, I think he now overtakes Mini Marth as the most insane 4-star focus unit. Summer Claude is gonna be a blue dagger flyer, only our 3rd one in the whole game. For stats, he has 41 HP, 38 attack, 42 speed, 25 defense, and 26 res. To put into perspective how good that stat line is, Summer Claude outdoes Legendary Claude in everything except HP, which they tie in. He will have speed and defense super boons, but you may just want to go for attack and speed boons. The reason I say this is that Summer Claude comes with Legendary Claude's Fallen Star B skill, perhaps one of the strongest skills in the game, granting a massive 80% damage reduction on initiations for 1 hit, and after combat it grants a status which provides Claude with the same 80% DR for enemy phase. Additionally, Claude inflicts AoE gravity around the target. If you do not neutralize damage reduction, letting Claude initiate first means he probably lives, and now you got gravity on multiple units that will become more valuable with his weapon. For other skills, Claude has Moonbow and Speed and Defense Rain 3. A rain skill is amazing to have here, but I do think you need the 5-star Claude to get it. While Claude gets his unique skill and great stats, he also gets a unique dagger, the Frozen Delight. 14 Might enables Contour Remaining and Accelerate Special Trigger. If Claude initiates or is within 2 spaces of an ally, he gets plus 6 attack and speed during combat, and when initiating, if total bonuses on Claude plus total penalties on the foe is equal or greater than 12, then Claude attacks twice. To get those brave attacks, you need to rely on field buffs and debuffs, which is a mechanic the OG Claude had. If you can get those buffs and debuffs, then Claude basically has a 20 might brave dagger that accelerates specials. Absurdly good weapon for a 4-star focus. Summer definitely seems to be Claude time because holy moly, this is probably the best possible outcome you can ask for while not being 5 stars only. You will definitely see some plus in Summer Claudes around. With Fallen Star and Speed and Defense Rain, you just need an A skill. Swift Sparrow 2 or 3 is fine, but Attack and Speed Catch 4 is the best option since it can proc off the gravity status and its dual phase. It also is available on this banner. Pick up your favorite attack and speed boosting Sacred Seal, and for specials, Claude will proc 2 cooldown specials on his 2nd brave hit. If you run Luna, you need Heavy Blade to proc it on hit number 2, and if you want lethality, then Claude will need more than 2 hits to assassinate a target. This may or may not be an issue thanks to Fallen Star's damage reduction, but keep in mind, Summer Claude does not have no follow-up like his legendary counterpart. No follow-up adds more defensive power to Fallen Star that Summer Claude won't have, so he's more susceptible, especially if the brave attacks do not happen, or he's just walled off. If you really want to be a jerk, you can use an Impact A skill to get a follow-up denial when initiating. As for the buff/debuff brave condition, you can use a Menace skill. You get plus 12 field buffs and inflict minus 12 debuffs, so you cover both sides in case a low or debuff neutralization effect is in play. It's a fair choice, but reigns are just super consistent and stronger if you bring your own buffs and debuff sources. If you want Claude to get some extra enemy phase power after the Fallen Star procs, you can try Attack Smoke 4 to prevent a follow-up attack and add more stat advantages. Now, I haven't even touched on Summer Claude's new perk over Legendary Claude. With Kanto on Frozen Delight, Claude can potentially do what Nala's Refine let her do. You can initiate, proc AoE gravity, and then move away to have even more safety. This is so bad for a team if you cannot one-round Claude and he has Kanto remaining. Like with Legendary Claude, ideally you want to attack him first to not deal with Fallen Star. However, damage reduction nullification can also work, but Summer Claude has potential brave attacks which can kill you first. It's a dicey situation to be in unless you can tank his damage and you don't mind gravity. Something like Savior Armors do come to mind. Regardless, just an absolutely busted 4-star focus unit. Definitely recommend bringing some heavy buffing or debuffing units for our resident schemer. The other game joining 3 houses is going to be Radiant Dawn, and Micaiah is the only banner representative. Summer Micaiah is a colorless mage cav with 38 HP, 42 attack, 30 speed, 16 defense, and 37 res. She has an attack super boon which will be great to pick up, but res is a very important stat for Micaiah as well. I wouldn't get rid of a res boon so soon. There's only one other colorless mage cav, and that's Harmonic Winter, Lysithea, and Loot. Micaiah's weapon has a lot in common with theirs if you're familiar. For old skills, guess what? Micaiah also brings her legendary skills. Maiden Solace is the upgraded Sacrifice Assist, which lets Micaiah give HP to heal allies. It also has Harsh Command Plus tacked on. As for Prescience, this B skill inflicts -5 attack and res on the foe, and if Micaiah initiates or faces a ranged foe, she reduces their first attack by 30%. It ain't Fallen Star, but damage reduction is damage reduction. For inheritable skills, she has Moonbow and attack and res catch 4. Micaiah's unique tome is the Moonlight drop, 14 might, accelerate specials, and effective against armor and cavaliers. This is a Micaiah, so that's a given. If she initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, she gets +6 attack and res, and the following effects based on a res check. If Micaiah has 5 or more res than the foe, but not more than 14, she makes a follow-up attack. If she wins the res check by 15 or more, then Micaiah gets brave attacks. Like I said, this is basically the exact same gimmick Harmonic Lysithea's tome works off of, but you do res checks instead of speed. Micaiah will need to work for her brave attacks if you're facing higher res foes, because 15 or more res is a lot. While she can get a follow-up with 5 or more res, this Micaiah is sporting a very not great 16 base defense. Even with 30% damage reduction, I wouldn't say Micaiah can do what Claude can do. Now, if Micaiah does get her brave attacks, she has her signature dual effectiveness, and she has faster specials too. Lots of attack to make it count, so you gotta watch out if you do not have good res on a unit. In general, Summer Micaiah is playing the res checking game, and she needs to win by a lot to get her brave hits. 15 or more res is not a drop in the bucket, but it does mean against naturally lower res units, Micaiah is just going to explode them with 2 hits. If she only gets the follow-up attack, she does have some damage reduction to survive, but I would not say it's the most consistent into physical damage. Important to note, Micaiah can get her follow-up attack on the enemy phase when near her teammates, so you could use her defensively versus a mage. She'll get damage reduction, but her lower speed will probably let her get doubled, and besides just res stacking, Micaiah won't be stopping specials. Speaking of speed, we have another case where a unit lands in that not super slow but not very fast speed ballpark. 30 base speed can let Micaiah use the follow-up attack to bypass follow-up prevention. You can combo this with Maiden Solace by having Micaiah heal an ally to drop into desperation range. She can double instantly with the free follow-up attack, or the follow-up cancels out a follow-up denial effect and Micaiah wins the speed check versus slow tanks. It can open up rare quad opportunities as well, but we lose prescience and its -5 res debuff. It's a nice skill, but you could also run something like low attack and res or far trace for Kanto if you're confident that you will get the spicy brave 2 taps. If you really want a big res swing for Micaiah, you could try attack and res menace. It creates a 12 res advantage and it could be used into a tank despite the range not matching up to the mage calves. Besides that, we really just want more attack and more resistance. Attack and res solo, rouse attack and res ploy even can work, and I don't think anything really replaces the catch A skill here. Something to keep an eye out for in the future is a mage specific special. These mages with accelerated brave attacks like Ascended Ishtar or Harmonic Lysithea could become quite scary if mages get a damage reduction nullification special. Cooldown options are still a bit of a problem for the mage calves, especially when units like Micaiah need to be stacking res as well. Overall though, Summer Micaiah shouldn't be ignored, but there might be some major issues if you run into high dedicated res tanks. Our third summer unit goes to our second house leader. Summer Dimitri is going to be an Axe Cavalier despite how his lance shaped his weapon is, and he's going to have 40 HP, 42 attack, 40 speed, 35 defense, and 17 res. Dimitri never had high res to begin with, but for this ult, he's sacrificing some of the defensive perks he's had before for a pure cracked out offense. He does come with a speed super boon, which you do want to take, and 42 base attack tops the Axe Cavalier group currently. 35 defense is also decent to take a physical hit. For old skills, Dimitri has Glimmer and attack and speed catch 4, fantastic A skill. As the trend for this summer banner, Summer Dimitri gets Atrocity, which is gonna be real dumb here. When above half HP, Dimitri gets true damage per hit equal to 25% of his attack stat, and after combat he inflicts every single stat smoke plus pulse smoke. Like Fallen Star, Atrocity is just plain gross, and it's such a good skill with Dimitri's weapon. While it may look like Edelgard, Dimitri actually has a new axe called the Unyielding Ore. 16 might, contour remaining +1, and accelerates specials. At start of combat, if Dimitri is above 25% HP, he gets +5 to all stats, and if a bonus is active on the foe, or if Dimitri outspeeds by 10 or more, he gets brave attacks. You will want to notice that unlike our previous units, Dimitri gets dual phase brave hits. He has a speed check condition, or if the foe is buffed up, the brave effect will activate, but the truly gross thing is combining this 2 instant hits with Atrocity's bonus true damage. Good lord, this is not an 8 might brave lance. Dimitri has a 21 might dual phase brave weapon that activates specials, and you dump Atrocity's damage on every hit. If the man quads you, good lord. Dimitri is sacrificing defensive perks like dodge, but even on the enemy phase, if you cannot kill him, he is gonna hit back real hard. To go with the rest of his kit, Dimitri brings Speed and Defense Menace. Like other Menace he skills, at start of turn, inflict -6 defense or speed and defense on the nearest foe within 4 spaces, and buff the user with +6 speed and defense. This can give Dimitri a 12 speed advantage to proc his brave hits, and he'll deal more damage with the defense debuffs. The variant could be a fun pickup for a unit like Brave Dimitri since he does have defense comparisons, but something like Attack Speed Menace also offers similar benefits to other units. You may have noticed that this summer's theme is accelerated specials with full might brave weapon conditions. Dimitri will compare speed, so you're going to want to focus on that, but he can get the brave attacks if the foe is buffed up as well. If you can get the brave hits going, Atrocity's bonus damage is just disgusting, and Dimitri can proc his special like Glimmer as well. Lots of firepower, and his base kit is basically fine as is. I wouldn't swap Attack and Speed Catch out since Atrocity and the Menace skill applies debuff to keep it active. You can just add Attack and Speed Solo, Blade Session, or any Attack and Speed increased in Sacred Seal. For some fun, if you really want dodge back, Dimitri can run Speed Smoke 4. A Rouse buff doesn't hurt here either. If you want to cheese some squishy ranged units, you can use Vantage with Distant Counter. The only thing is no more Atrocity, but again, this is a 20 might dual phase brave weapon, so it's gonna hurt no matter what. Dimitri has high enough attack to run Heavy Blade, so you could run something like Gale Force if you want. You just gotta be careful of being too strong, and if you want control of those brave hits, then you do need speed as well. Now, while Atrocity is fun, I feel like Summer Dimitri could run Float Guard. If your 2 Atrocity brave hits can't finish the job, then a quad attack with some specials could work on tanks. I don't see many people doing this though, since it's just easier to stack all the attack and speed and just force your way through with Atrocity. For longer fights, keep in mind Atrocity and Unyielding Ore have HP conditions, so watch out for big hits. If you face Dimitri, you need to be careful of using buffs. Doesn't matter if you outspeed him, if you have an attack buff on, Dimitri's gonna get to double tap you instantly. I do think this secondary condition is really good as a backup plan, since if it lets Unyielding Ore function, even if speed power creep overtakes Dimitri. Like with all the units on this banner, you gotta be careful of their brave assaults. It might be time to break out the Deflect Sacred Seals, and even that might not be enough. Last up for today is Summer Edelgard and Altina are Harmonic heroes for this banner. Harmonic Edelgard is going to be a sword armor unit with 46 HP, 45 attack, 17 speed, 43 defense, and 39 res. She has defense and res super boons, which are both fine. This Edelgard basically has the same min-max stats as Brave 80. As a seasonal Harmonic unit, I think we found our Edelgard entry for next year's A Hero Rises event. For old skills, Edelgard's going to come with Glimmer, attack and defense ideal 4, and of course, she brings Raging Storm. If unit initiates combat, grant another action after combat if unit is solo, once per turn. Additionally, if the foe is a Dragon or Beast unit and Edelgard is solo, she gets a follow-up attack. Raging Storm is a fun skill balanced by needing to be alone, which is awkward for an army unit. It's also tough to utilize without bonus movement, and Fallen Edelgard basically thrives off it as a one-man army. I would say the Armored 80s are pretty much the only units trying to keep the player phase armored playstyle alive, and Harmonic Edelgard does bring some new things to try out. Her unique sword is the Regal Sunshade, which has 16 might and excites specials. If Edelgard has more than 25% HP, she gets +6 attack, she inflicts -6 attack, she gets 40% damage reduction for 1 hit, and if there are X or more foes within 3 columns or 3 rows centered on Edelgard, she attacks twice. Alright, so a bit more complex for Edelgard to get her dual phase brave attacks, but let's break it down. Essentially, depending on the number of enemies on the field, Edelgard needs more or less of them within a 3 column or 3 row zone. If there are only 1 or 2 enemies left, basically she always brave attacks. If there are 3, 4, or 5 enemies, you need 2 enemies within the zone, but this does include the target. If it's 6 or greater foes like in PvE Abyssal maps, then you need 3 or more foes in within our zone. I don't think this is the worst condition considering there are 0 stack comparisons, but it may be funky if enemies are diagonal to Edelgard. In 8th raids though, it's almost free. Very nice weapon for offense or defense, and Edelgard is going to be very scary to tank if you cannot take her out quickly. For Edelgard and Altina's Harmonic skill, they pass along +6 attack buffs, resonance shields, and bonus doubler to themselves and allies from Radiant Dawn or 3 houses. Basically, this is an on-demand +12 attack boost for your Brave weapon, and this applies to everyone on the banner. As for Resonance Shields, along with +4 defense during combat, it does prevent a follow-up attack for 1 engagement per phase. That's a good bonus since Edelgard is mostly going for offensive plays. Instead of Armor March or Armored Stride, Edelgard has a new trick this time called Assault Troop 3. At start of turn, if unit is full health or any foes within 3 columns or 3 rows centered on unit, grants the charge status to unit for 1 turn. Charge is a new status effect, allowing a unit to move 3 spaces, but only in a line. There are some important conditions to this though. First, the extra movement is treated as warping. Second, you cannot warp through foes, and third, you cannot warp through terrain that blocks movement. Basically, charge movement is classified as a warp, but doesn't really follow the standard warp rules. You can't jump over water or mountains unless you're a flyer, and you can't leapfrog over an enemy. Now, the big surprise for Assault Troop is that it is not armor locked, but only Sword, Lance, and Axe units can use this skill. Sorry Fallen Edelgard fans, but no through movement for her. Because charge is counted as warping, it shouldn't be affected by stall. However, it will be shut down by warp bubble, so an army unit like Edelgard cannot advance far at all if Myr or the Gatekeeper are in the front. While warp bubble blocks charge, it only blocks the spaces within 4 spaces of it. This means there are situations where Edelgard might not be able to move 2 spaces, but she can move 3 spaces. It's really weird. Now, since Assault Troop can go on Cavaliers, is that useful? Well, for one, I'm pretty sure you still cannot move past forest tiles. However, trenches are fair game, at least I think. Again, this is a super weird skill, and only in specific cases do I need my 3 movement Cavalier to warp onto a trench. It could be useful, but it only works in a line, and it might be better to try out on other movement types first. It's a nice mobility option on the bigger map if you need to cover a lot of ground. Now let's tie Harmonic Edelgard's playstyle all together. She gets Assault Troop to move 3 spaces, initiate with Brave attacks, you proc Raging Storm, and initiate with another round of Brave hits. If you want, add Gale Force to this mix for a 3rd Brave Assault. With a 4 quid on Gale Force, this Edelgard can get it going in 2 hits with Heavy Blade, aka her 2 Brave hits thanks to Regal Sunshade. If you run into Guard, 4 hits could actually get the job done thanks to Raging Storm, and Edelgard has massive amounts of attack to use Heavy Blade just fine. With her base kit, like the Fallen version, ideal 4A skills are perfectly good here since Edelgard gets a status effect. If you plan to use Raging Storm, you need to be solo, so you can use attack and defense or attack and res solo as well. For some dumb fun, you could use Bold Fighter for quad attacking and possibly something like double bonfire procs. Distant counter works too, as Regal Sunshade works on either phase. Assault Troop is good, but if you want to turn a corner, you're going to need Armor March or any mobility perk. Edelgard could be behind an Armor March teammate though, and they would have the same attack range, at least in a line. The interesting thing about Harmonic 80 is that she doesn't have to commit to player phase. Her weapon works in either phase for Brave hits, and with damage reduction, she can easily be a tanky near or far save unit. For example, you could do near save, Special Fighter with Brave hits. You could run any quick repulse skill for 4 hits, add in Steady Breath for specials. Or you could be like Winter Ephraim with accelerated specials and Brave attacks. You could run Hardy Fighter with the 3 quid on defensive specials. With 2 hits, you don't need Steady Breath to recharge these specials like Pavis, although they guarantee it works through Guard. This could open up the Sacred Seal slot for a Deflect Sacred Seal, or you just pair this build with a support unit like Thor. Do not think of this Edelgard as only player phase like her legendary ult. She can definitely pivot to the meta save skills. If you face this build, you might be able to not trigger her Brave attacks if you know where she's going to end up when she's saving. That's kind of a downside to Regal Sunshade's condition, but Edelgard still has all the other perks, so good luck chewing through her armored swimsuit. That's all I got for this banner breakdown, perhaps one of the most ridiculous seasonal banners ever, with all 4 units bringing their legendary skills with them, and the 4-star focus unit is beyond amazing. 3 Hopes is set to launch soon, but Maniton Systems is going for your wallet's jugular with the first seasonal alts for our house leaders. I thought they might spread them out to different seasonal banners, but they really just did throw all of 3 on the same banner at once. It's absolutely wild. Personally, I am going to throw what orbs I can scrounge up after getting Legendary Myr. My real fear is that the second summer banner coming up is going to feature Sacred Stones characters, because they have been on the summer banners in the even numbered years, and we're in year 6. If that happens, I'm truly going to go broke. Thankfully, available today is the Tempest Trials, and our free unit is going to be Summer Elincia. She's a pretty cool unit, and I need those 40 orbs desperately. We'll be talking about her next, so stay tuned, and good luck on your summons if you are going to be summoning. I will see you guys soon.